Hello and good evening. This is episode 4, I think, of Can I Record an Album?
So good.
And so I may notice the title of this is got Vacate in it. So yeah, today is about a song called Vacate. Vacate is a song written by my friend James Carey, who which he published on his his SoundCloud channel a little while ago. He sent me that version as a GarageBand project, which I then added to it. And by the way, I'll put links to his SoundCloud channel below, so do go check it out. But I added drums to it, I added bass to it, I added an electric guitar to it, I added some backing vocals, and I also about 3 weeks ago suggested to James that we work on this or another track that I'm also working on at the moment that's mine. That one of those two we send off to Rick Beato. So I recently joined up as a member of the Beato Club, maybe temporary, but and one of the benefits of that is the ability to send Rick a version of a version of something you're working on, and he will do a critique and send it back to you in a video. So I don't think you don't get a chat with Rick. I think they cost. I think that's an extra benefit to get actual production time with Rick, which makes sense. But he will send you this reaction video as part of the membership for his channel. And just to clarify, I don't begrudge Rick Beato selling his time as a producer. It's his job. He absolutely 100% should charge for that. But what I'm saying is the benefit of the membership that I've got allows me to send him a track off, and he will do a reaction video and send that back to us. So we're trying to get these two songs ready, trying to get them up and running. There was 2 problems with Vacate. One was that although the vocal performance was really strong, the quality of the vocal recording wasn't that great. So I worked quite hard on getting it to sit in the mix and trying to take out some of the harshness that was in there, which I kind of found in the mids. I don't know if that's anyway, I'm just saying that's where I think I found it and sort of was able to pull it out. And the second thing was that I'd used a virtual drummer to build the drum track, and I tend to do that by taking whatever they sort of throw out and then just cutting it up loads to get lots of interesting fills and then pasting them together. But I end up with quite unorthodox and illogical drum parts. I quite like. I'm not saying I didn't like the version I sent across. I did, but there were some very odd bits in it that didn't really make a lot of sense. So anyway, I sent those both to James, and he's just come back and with versions of those today. So I thought I'd make this episode 4 because it made sense. Today is Monday the 8th of June 2020, so right bang in the middle of the, or possibly actually coming to the end of lockdown here in the UK in some forms of this COVID crisis, which is kind of what prompted this. This might all stumble and fall once the world goes back to some form of normality, if there isn't even going to be that. But it's not something to talk about this evening. I have to. Submission to Rick Beato needs to be done by the 10th of the month to get it back for the 20th of the same month. So a bit of a scramble on to kind of get this done. There's a couple of things with the versions that James got back. So the first one is the vocal is much clearer, performance is equally as good, so no problem with that. It's going to take a bit of work to blend it into the mix. I'm going to have to take everything. Basically, I pasted it into something that had essentially the same settings on it that I worked on with the other vocal, and obviously that's thrown it out. So I need to remove all of that, take it back to just the what James sent across, and then build it back up. Also, I will need to re-record the backing vocals because they're out of sync now with the lead, which is, they definitely need to be redone. With the drum part, the last chorus, and this is what I thought I'd sort of maybe even just end this on, depending on how I think this rolls, and this might be the entirety of the podcast. But so the drum part, the last part of the drum version that James sent across in the final chorus is a bit beefed up, essentially, from the original version I sent him. What this means is basically that the mix as it is doesn't sit well with the drums when I paste it back in, and the drop off in dynamic at the end, so sort of the whole song sort of doesn't drift to an end, but it kind of takes a breath at the end, I would call it. Means that all the instrumentation has come down in both intensity of what's being played, but also then obviously volume. The drums have come down and are in keeping with the volume, but the intensity of the performance is a bit higher. So, and I'm sure this is deliberate on James's part. He probably wants to bring more dynamic into that last chorus. He might want it to hit harder. My only concern will be the ability for us to adjust that again in time for submission on the 10th. So hopefully I'm going to have a chat with him tomorrow. Maybe we'll come out of that with a solution. What I thought I'd do with this is just play the two drum parts as they are, show you the original, and let you hear the original, and then compare it then with what James has sent me back, and then and then I'll call it quits. So just swap this across. So if I just play this is the original drums.
Oh, the choice in front of you. Undress, distress. I'm so sorry I've startled you. The city that surrounds.
So it's a rim shot. This is what I mean. That fill is just ridiculously hard and it makes no sense. It's one of the things that James is working on, but you can see it stays with that kind of rim shot. And anyway, so then if we go to James's version, you should be able to hear the difference pretty quickly. Certainly the fill coming into it is far more logical. Like, it makes a lot of sense. But with the double hit on the bass pedal being so hard, and he's gone to a full snare hit rather than a rim shot. So in my opinion, it sounds slightly out of sync with the rest of the mix. So again, like I say, it may be entirely correct, and if James wants to change it, then we'll do that. So just all it would mean is that rather than submitting, I think this month, we'd have to submit next month, because we'd need to re-record. and yeah, and I think we need to rewrite kind of the performances in the last bit, which is not, it's sort of night's work essentially.